Hello, everybody. I am live. Yippee! Okay, so I got copyrighted my second stream I did. I got copyrighted because I played music and they didn't like that. I'm gonna make myself a bit bigger here so y'all can actually see me. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so let me tell y'all something. I've been on a kick recently with everything, basically. Oh, Jesus, this is bright. But I I'd like to say this now. I did not write this fic. I didn't write any of the fics I'm gonna read. This is written by Mars Writes Fics. Go follow them on Wattpad. We're reading this from Wattpad, by the way, because Wattpad makes the best fics. Hold on, let me pull my stream up so I can see chat. I don't really care if y'all see this because I don't really care. But I will be reading fanfic today because I'm just an expert reader. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't care about this. I want to go to my channel. Okay. Mute this. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. Excuse me? Hello? What the fuck just happened? I don't care. Never mind. I can tell. Okay. Let's redo this. How about that? Yeah? Okay. Mute this. Go over here. Because Jesus! Go over here. There we go. That way I just have chat open. I can just have this. No, 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 please, please, God. Other side. Thank you. Okay. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. There we go. Alright. So, what do you mean? So, we're reading What a Waste, which is a Rick Sanchez X reader. I would like to reiterate, I did not make this. I didn't write this. Mars Writes Fics wrote this. All love and respect to them for writing this. I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels this way about him. I don't know what it is. He's just kind of cute, I guess. Anyways, alright, so we're starting from YN's point of view. I gotta take my headphones off for this. Alright, so YN's point of view. Chapter 1. I smiled as I walked through the grass, with only seconds remaining. I knocked on the front door to the house belonging to my best friend, Morty Smith. As the door swung open, I was met with the beautiful eyes of Beth, Morty's mother. We love Beth. We stand Beth. 10 out of 10 Beth would smash. YN, you're home early. I'm glad to see you. I'm sure Morty will be too. Come in. She pulled me inside with a smile. I was ushered to the living room where Summer was lying on the couch. YN, didn't you have, a week left at camp? I nodded in response. Yeah, but I got to come home early because of the weather. Aren't you glad to see me? She rolled her eyes in a playful manner. Of course I am. Morty's out with Grandpa Rick right now, though. We can hang out while you wait if you want. I raised an eyebrow. What? Her eyes widened she stood up and dragged me upstairs to her room. While you were gone, Mom's dad came back and he lives with us now. The spare room you slept in is his now. He isn't that bad, but Morty spends most of his time with him. I stood there, dazed and confused. Maybe I was home a week early. Sure, I was a week home early, but... No, sure, I was home a week early. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. Bear with me. But Morty always waited for me to get home. Maybe I was being dramatic with how I felt, but it was ultimately a new feeling for me, especially for him to be out with Rick. That was his name, right? I sighed. Oh, I could just go home and wait if you're busy. We still have a week until school starts, and I bet you have stuff to be doing. She checked her phone and shrugged. As much as I wish you were wrong, I have work in 10. You can hang in here or whatever until he comes home, though. She smiled and gave me a hug before leaving the room. It felt weird to be standing in her room. Oddly enough, I'd only been in here a few times despite my lifelong friendship with Morty. I walked out of the room and into Morty's. It looked exactly the same as the day It looked the exact same as the day I left for camp. It seemed like he had barely even used the room. I walked up to his desk and smiled at the photo of us. We were in second grade in the photo, sharing a milkshake Beth had gotten us for winning the soccer game we had earlier in the day. Chocolate was his favorite. A small laugh escaped my lips as I remembered the rest of the day. After a few more minutes of being trapped in a daydream, I heard a crash and loud voices. My eyes widened and I quickly left the room. Walking downstairs, I heard a voice like Morty's, except this one was deeper. As I turned the corner, I saw Morty, Beth, and a man standing in the kitchen arguing. All eyes were on me now as I stood helplessly. "Wyan," Morty exclaimed as he ran up to me and engulfed me in a hug. My arms wrapped around him before I realized what they were doing. He swung us around, and I smiled into his shirt. He smelled a lot better than I remembered. And he was was a lot taller than I was now. Puberty hit him like a truck over the summer. My parents claimed it did for me too. I'd only truly believed them when Morty let go and looked at me. His eyes drifted from my own as we looked at each other. He was still Morty, but he was slimmer and taller. His hair was different and his facial structure was stronger. Our eyes met again, and the man I had yet to recognize coughed. Morty turned around and Beth had a smile plastered over her face. "Rick, this is Wyan, the girl from school I told you about?" The color in Rick's face changed to a deep red as Rick looked at me. "Right, the one you were obsessed with?" I raised an eyebrow. "We're just friends," I said as I looked at Morty again. He nodded and I smiled nervously. Dad, leave them alone." He mumbled something I couldn't quite hear before walking back to the garage. "It was nice meeting you," I yelled as Beth sighed and left the room. "So, you're home," he smiled at me. I nodded, and we had a small talk as we walked up to his room. We sat down on the bed. We shared a yawn, then a laugh. I looked at him and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Being next to him felt different. Sure, it was the same person I grew up to adore my entire childhood, but it felt different. I want to look at these comments. Ew, I hate small talk. I love looking at these comments. "Bro, you're not Sayori." I don't. Nobody's hanging. What do you mean? "You'll always be my dearest friend." Stop. I'm sorry. I really need to just look at these. "So we all here right now? How dare you take my room? Are we a child? Why am I here? Why am I reading this? I can't do this. How old are we? Wait, I'm 14. Kid just made us late. Jerry and Beth, bro, we're 14. We're best friends with Morty. It'd be weird if we're older than 14. Definitely said we're 17-year-old in another chapter. We're talking with Rick. That's still super bad. What? Did I said it's not? Did I said it's not? Did I said it's not? Love the grammar. I'm just correcting you, lol. Yo, we friends with Morty? W fanfic? Ew, they have the same last name as me. Now we homies. It's fine, we can share. Bitch, you stole my room! I can't believe Morty left us for some old man. Summer, I love you. Nah, you gay. Hella gay. Before we could speak, Beth yelled that she was leaving for an emergency surgery, and that she would be back when she could be. Jerry was off on a business trip, which meant we were free to do whatever. We grabbed the console from under his bed along with 2 controllers and raced to the living room. As we set up the game, we also changed into the shirts we had gotten to wear while we played. Sure, they were old and worn, but they were a symbol of our friendship. We plopped down on the couch and each had a controller. As the game loaded up, we immediately started playing. For hours, we sat and played the game that made us friends. Around 9, Summer came home and brought pizza. More years passed out on the couch, and I smiled. I nodded to Summer and threw a blanket over the sleeping boy. I walked into the kitchen and grabbed a slice. For a second, I stopped and then sighed. Grabbing another plate, I placed 2 slices on it and walked to the garage door. I knocked, and shortly after, Rick opened the door with a confused expression on. Yes. He said he was obvious annoyance. Thought you might want some pizza? I gave a small smile, and he rolled his eyes before taking the plate. Thanks, was all he said before closing the door in my face. That was so rude. Kiss me. Whoa, who said that? I don't give a fuck if I'm a minor. Kiss me. What mood? Don't bully me. For real, for real. Whoa, buddy. Real. Don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to me like that again, pinata head. You should be thankful that we care about you eating. Starving that you are finer than a noodle spaghetti. The fact that I just realized us, the character, is 14. Shit, ew. Thank you for that. Oh, well. Kind of like how toxic he is. Die then, rude ass. I feel like this should be illegal, but I'm reading it, so. Perish. So is this a pedophilia story? Okay. Oh, okay then, bitch. No need to be a dick, Brody. We're probably the only ones who care if you eat at all. LMFAO. He's such a bitch boy. You're taking this very seriously, Lamau. Not serious enough. Rah. Kill yourself, Sonic-haired... Okay, hold on. There's... Holy shit. Kill yourself, Sonic-haired motherfucker. How much gel you put in your bush-looking ass hair? You hoe. You goofy... You look goofy as fuck. Goofier than my grandpa's ashes, dog. What the fuck? Oh, hell no. You look crusty as fuck. Worse than a preppy's iPad. Imagine wearing a goofy white coat. It's probably so dirty and shitty. I bet you shit your pants today. And also piss your pants when you see Sonic, because all you can think about is your goofy ass Sonic haircut. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Dude, I laughed and gasped, which ultimately caused me to choke on nothing. I started to cackle, and my friends looked at me crazy. He's such an asshole. These are all very valid. Next chapter. Oh, fun. Third-person POV. I love third-person POVs. It was 9 in the morning. Girl, please. I don't want to share this on Facebook! Sorry. I don't want to share this on Facebook. Fuck off. Okay. It was 9 in the morning. Morty had woken up and looked over at the sleeping girl on his shoulder, aka us. He smiled and let her breath. She groaned and started to move. He got up and laid her down comfortably. He went to the kitchen only to be met with... Sorry, I just had a fucking stroke. Holy shit. Only to be met with Rick. Hi, Rick. Nice shirt. Oh, wait, hold on. Nice shirt. You look like you belong in 2016. Morty's expression quickly changed and he rolled his eyes. Wyatt and I have matching ones. And for your information, she thinks they're cool. Real cool, Morty. You look like a walking Minecraft dad. With another huff, Morty opened the fridge and grabbed a water bottle. Thanks, Rick. Really wowing me with all the support here. He's so sassy. I would not have fallen asleep. I literally cannot fall asleep around people. Lamasao. Morty, my beloved. Skull emoji, skull emoji. Somehow I can't wake up from the fire alarm blaring, but as soon as I sense someone awake, I'm up. Yeah. Just yeah. Rick mumbled something again before walking into the dining room and then up to his room. Wyan walked in and smirked at Morty. Man, he really has a mumbling problem. Morty nervously laughed and nodded in agreement. He's just complicated. Or maybe he's just a dick. The two shared a laugh and walked up to Morty's room. Morty gave Wyan a shirt and a pair of her extra jeans, and she went to the bathroom to change. Her black skinny jeans paired nicely with the simple shirt Morty had lent her. She smiled and brushed her hair before going back downstairs. Beth Note left a Yep, that's English. 100%. Okay, let's try that again. Beth left a note on the dining room table that she would be out again all day and night. Jerry was God knows where, and Summer had off work. Excuse me. This is a Rick X reader wearing Morty's clothes. Mixed signals? Right. Honestly. Real. Okay. Summer had walked in and read the note over Wyan's shoulder. She smirked, with an idea coming to mind. Oh, I am so throwing a major rager tonight. she said with confidence. Are you sure that's a good idea? Wyan asked. Summer shrugged and walked towards the garage. Wyan followed closely behind with curiosity. As the two walked into the garage, Rick was sitting at his workbench and Morty beside him, watching his every move. Out now, he said before he turned around. Both Rick and Morty. Okay. I don't want to be criticizing this person because it's very well written, very detailed, very nice. But the literature in me is the writer in me is attacking me right now. So I gotta say this. I have to. I'm sorry. With sentences, capitalization matters. Again, capitalization on all of these sentences. There's nothing capitalized. It is all lowercase, and that gives me a headache as I'm very dyslexic. And then, like this. Both Rick and Morty both. It should be both Rick and Morty, or Rick and Morty both. Pick one, okay? You don't need two boths in the sentence. So it would be both Rick and Morty looked at the two who had just come in. Or, Rick and Morty both looked at the two who had just come in. Both Rick and Morty both looked at the two who had just come in, and Summer rolled her eyes. Okay, ass eaters, I'm throwing a party tonight. Morty, since Wyan is your only friend and she basically lives here, she is obviously welcome to stay. She looked at Wyan and back at Morty, though I doubt she will. Rick snarkily laughed, and Wyan gave a confused look. Snarkily laughed. Snarkily is a word. It is a word, I swear. I know it's a word. But it should be reversed. Laughed snarkily, or laughed in a snarky manner, so that it's easier to read, honestly. Why wouldn't I stay? She asked curiously. Summer shrugged. You aren't a party person. Wyan looked at Rick, who was smirking. I don't know what you mean. I love parties, she said, clearly lying. Morty shot her a sympathetic look, and she smiled with false confidence. I'm staying, she said sternly. Glad you're finally ready to let loose, Summer stated before turning to Rick. As I was saying, Grandpa, you can invite anyone, or you can invite whoever. I don't care, as long as you don't fuck up the house too bad, and if you do, you just have to help clean up. He laughed and stood up, cracking his knuckles. That was my knuckle cracking, by the way. Both hands, actually. It's a bad habit of mine. Sounds like a plan. Now leave. Morty and I have important business. Ba. Summer rolled her eyes and left the room. Wyan stayed. Well, no, duh, I stayed. That means you too, miss, Rick said, walking up to her. She looked up at him nervously and swallowed the knot in her throat. What important business? Because Morty and I had plans today. Right, Morty? He looked between the two and opened his mouth to speak, but Rick cut him off. Nothing you had planned is more important than this. She rolled her eyes. I doubt that. He raised half his unibrow. I completely forgot that he has a unibrow. I don't know how to feel about that. Wanna bet? Let's look at these. We're looking at the comments for every paragraph. Leave me alone. Actually, fuck yourself. My fist itches. Then scratch it. I would get in a cursing contest just to fuck with him. Me too, for real. My silver ass would have started yelling curses and heavy accents and make me sound like I'm speaking in tongues. These are such like 2016 Tumblr post comments. Like, I don't want to sound rude, but like that's what they are. My microphone almost just fell off my desk. Actually, let's see when these were posted. 5 months ago. Oh, never mind. Well, this one was 2 years ago, so 2030. Yep. Nope. 2023. That's what I meant. She smirked. Sure. Before she could say another word, he was dragging her by the arm to the UFO. He then motioned for Morty to get in. He pushed Ryan into the back seat and then got in himself. Hello. She found the seatbelt and put it on. Confusion was lacing her brain as she realized what was happening. Rick pulled out and they lifted off the ground. Ryan made noises of excitement as she looked out the window. The Earth became a tiny dot as they made their way through space. Wow, Ryan muttered to herself. She looked up and her eyes met with Rick's in the rearview mirror. Her eyes were as wide as planets, and he smirked. She was drawn to the passing stars, and Morty turned to look at her. Stop fucking smirking. I love being a victim, what? I'd make noises of excitement for Rick. Anytime for Rick. I'm sorry. Oh, that's so real, though. Like, I would, too. Okay. Her eyes stayed glued to the universe around her. He smiled and Rick rolled his... You mean Rick smiled and he rolled his eyes? Or Rick smiled and rolled his eyes. So what was more important than this? He said snarkily. She didn't reply. She was too focused on everything around her. All of her senses were shifting and she was experiencing something she never thought could happen. Morty turned around and looked at Rick. She's not paying any attention to us, is she? Rick rolled his eyes once again. Stop trying to get your dick wet and let the girl experience this. Jesus Christ. I would die. I'm terrified of heights. Funny thing, I used that as a saying before I'd ever heard this show. Found a new quote you might want to remember it, just saying, stop trying to get your dick wet. I'm going to be quoting this forever. Stop trying to get your dick wet. I'm using it at some point. Thank you for this treasure. Help. We're no strangers to love. What? What do you mean? Oh, Rick rolled. Okay. Okay, buddy. You're done. Marty? Yep, there's an A there, totally. Morty shot him a disgusted look. I thought you hated her. He shrugged. Shut the fuck up, Morty. Oh my god, that is honestly very real. Please, Morty, shut the fuck up. Wyan had no idea they were even speaking, for she was too happy to even dare speak. Soon, Rick decided to land on another planet. As he did, Morty and Wyan got out. Rick stretched and the two watched Wyan drool at her surroundings. The planet was pink and red. It reminded her of Valentine's Day. It was safe to say she was in awe. Rick smirked and Morty smiled at her. Where are we? She asked as she looked up at Rick. He shrugged. Why? You plan on coming back? She rolled her eyes. Yeah, and I'll bring a hot date too. He grabbed her arm and Morty's. She grabbed her and Morty's arms and dragged the two teens down a trail. Then they were at someone's house, it seemed. Hold on. One sec, my boyfriend is texting me. Okay. Rick knocked, and when the door opened, they were met with a little orange cat. Rick, what's up, buddy? It's been so squanch and long. I'm throwing a party tonight on Earth. You down? The cat thing nodded excitedly, and Wyan was full of confusion. Squanchy, meet Morty. I need to Google who Squanchy is. I haven't seen the show in forever. Okay, then. How much y'all want to bet Squanchy dies? Squanchy, meet Morty. Wyan furrowed her eyebrows and threw her hands up. Rick rubbed the sides of his nose. And Wyan. Nice to squanch you. Wyan smiled and shook his hand. Wow, she's polite, huh, Rick? He laughed, and Rick sighed. Yeah, let's go now. Yeah, let's go now, Morty said, clearly uncomfortable with banter being made about his friend. Rick laughed as he turned to walk back to the ship. Wyan happily followed the lost dog. Morty was, Morty was jealous, to say the least. Mostly because he wasn't Wyan's only source of attention now. Jealous? Bitch. Just a bit of banter. Just a bit of banter. Sometimes I forget British people exist. And those are the best moments of my life, /Jake. God, I wish I were you. Just a bit of banter. We don't exist. That's funny. This is so cool, Rick. Like, probably the most wild shit I've ever seen. He looked down at her and realized her eyes were still wandering, trying to take in the wonders before her. You're in for a real treat tonight, then, he said to her. Her eyes widened as she looked up at him, his eyes now glued to the UFO. Morty was trailing behind, and he was clearly upset. When they got in the UFO, Morty sat in the back. Every so often, Wyan would steal glances at Rick, trying to read him in any way she could. Both Rick and Morty noticed, one angry about the looks, one feeling gratification. Soon they were on their way to the next planet to invite the next of Rick's wild group of friends. For hours, this was all they did. Wyan feeling more amazed with each sight that was laid out in front of her. That is so real of her, though. At this point, Rick's just cock-blocking Morty. She felt so grateful towards Rick for him bringing her along, made her excited in so many ways. She was simply amazed by it all. Rick had never been able to impress someone this much in such a short amount of time. As Wyan tried to grasp some sort of story about Rick, he did the same for her. For he knew she was smart. Is this Shakespeare? Did Shakespeare write this? She knew. He knew she was smart. He knew she would figure the secret out. He was just unsure when. She was absolutely clueless of what he was thinking. He knew nothing of what she was thinking either. It confused and astounded the both of them, making it even worse for Morty. Poor Morty, bro. He's getting cock-blocked like crazy by Rick. Oh my god, no. His own granddad is cock-blocking him, dude. That is like the worst thing to ever happen to you. Also, I'm very cold. Send help. Excuse me, that was very rude. Yay, we're back in Wyan's point of view. Finally, as we touched back on Earth, I was exhausted. The day was spent traveling to places I could have never even begun to think of. My mind was everywhere, yet I was grounded with what I knew. Rick had absolutely blown my mind today, and I yearned for more. He had mentioned tonight being even better. What could that even entail? Morty was clearly pissed, and I was confused as to why. He stormed inside, and Rick just stood in the garage, leaning against the wall. I stood once again, dazed. Why is he so upset with me? What did I do to him? Rick shrugged. You paid attention to something that wasn't him, and he's a jealous little asshole. I sighed. Great. I turned to Rick. Thank you for today. It was beautiful. His expression quickly changed from one harsh to soft. You just came along to invite some people. No big deal. I laughed. No big deal. We went to extraordinary places today. My mind feels so off balance. It's an amazing universe we live in, and I am forever grateful for you allowing me to experience it. He just looked at me like he was reading a book. He hummed in response, and I turned on my heel to leave. It means a lot that you let me come. Beth told me you have a hard time trusting people, so letting me come see all that just makes me happy in a lot of ways. With that, I left the garage, closing the door softly behind me. Oh god, I just read ahead. Ugh. I then went to Morty's room. I walked inside and he was sitting at his desk. Are you okay? I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Girl, you're being too nice. No, I'm not gonna say anything, but honestly, she is. I'm fine, Wyan. I don't even care. You should just go home. It's late anyways. My eyes widened as I stood there. Maybe I could go home and shower. There was a party tonight. With a sigh, I left the room and began down the steps. I left the house and walked over to my own. I sighed once again, knowing my parents weren't home. Truth be told, I came home early because for a month they would be on a way. They would be away on a couples retreat trying to fix what broken pieces of a marriage they had left. I liked knowing how they were. I just wish it were better. I walked to my bathroom and decided to shower. I turned on the hot water and removed my clothes. Got in, washed myself of whatever mess was on me. It was amazing compared to the lukewarm camp water or lukewarm camp showers. I relaxed for about 45 minutes before getting out. I changed into a black tank top and some cute pants to match. I blew dry my hair. What is the proper term for that? Blow dried? Blow dry? I always say blow dried. I blow dried my hair. I don't know if anyone says blue dry. I blow dried my hair and styled it nicely. Valid. I finally felt like myself again. After doing minimal makeup, I walked out into my room and slid some boots on before checking my phone. It was 9. The party was booming next door, and I realized I should go before there is no party to go to. I grabbed my phone and left the house. Upon entering the Smith household, I immediately noticed the smell of alcohol. I was met with tons of people and creatures roaming around. Everyone seemed to be getting along, despite the aliens. I chose not to make a big deal. I could ask Rick, or I could ask Morty, or Rick, later. I found my way to a table with drinks and filled a cup with punch. After downing whatever was in it, I felt a bit buzzed. I'd grabbed another and began searching for someone I knew. A lot of kids from my school were here. I just didn't like any of them. I saw Summer introducing her friend Tammy to a bird-like creature. Then my eyes were drawn to Rick. He was snorting something off the coffee table and my eyes widened. I felt an arm on my shoulder and turned to see Morty with a half smile. "Hey," he said, trying to be louder than the music. I smiled and a blush rose to his cheeks. "I'm sorry for earlier," he said, this time louder. I shrugged. "It's fine. Want to dance?" He nodded and drank. Yeah! I'm back. Okay. Where were we? Ahaha. He nodded and dragged me to the living room. Fucking rot, Tammy. Fuck you, Tammy. Tammy's a bitch. Fuck Tammy. Everyone hates Tammy. Valid, though. We danced like idiots and sipped our drinks. I had the creeping feeling of eyes on me, but paid no attention to it as I was having too much fun. After getting another drink with Morty, I found he was off talking to Jessica. I smiled and sighed, knowing I was now alone again. Finishing what could very well have been my 6th drink, I went for another. I think I know who's talking to me. I think I know exactly who's talking to us. I read ahead. I'm blushing. Oh, Jesus, I'm blushing. All right. I went for another. As I sipped it, I felt like I was going to be sick. I held my head and leaned against the wall in the dining room. It felt like my head was spinning. "Are you okay?" was all I heard. The music drowned out by the voice, and I looked up. I couldn't recognize who it was. Their features were blurred, and I squinted, and then I began to laugh. Their face looked like they were concerned. I am totally great. I yelled. I said loudly, throwing my thumbs up. Throwing up a thumbs up. Cool. The person sighed before I finished my drink. You're done off that, sweetheart. Excuse me, but I am definitely not sweet, sir. Why did I sound like Moxie from Hell of a Boss? Anyways, the person laughed and I giggled. You should lay down, he said, my mind still spinning. With a shrug, he took my hand and led me upstairs. I tripped over myself a few times before I felt myself being lifted up. I gripped his shirt and leaned my head on his shoulder. You smell nice, I said, slurring my words beyond belief. Thanks, miss. Miss, where have I heard that before? Before I could ask, I was placed down in a warm bed. The stranger took my shoes off and I snuggled into the sheets. You want to change? He asked. I nodded and began pulling out my clothes, not really caring who was with me. Whoa, calm down. Here, he said, gently removing my top piece. Hello. He slid a blue long sleeve shirt on me. Wow, I wonder who that could be. Wow, who knows? And I kicked my pants off. That is so real. That's so valid of her sleeping in an oversized t-shirt that's not hers. I laid back in the bed, feeling content and comfy. I put a trash bin beside the bed if you feel sick. I'll lock the door on my way out if you like. I hummed in response as my senses became clearer. Wait, I mumbled. He turned around. My vision, still blurred, showed me wild blue hair and crystal blue eyes. What? He asked. I leaned back and giggled. You are too sweet. Good night, stranger. Good night, Wyan. He said as I heard the door close. Did I tell him my name? Before my thoughts continued, I felt myself drift into a wonderful sleep. Sorry. Chapter 4. From our point of view. Alright. As I sat up, my head immediately forced me back down. Holy fuck, I mumbled as I leaned over. That is so real. I've never had a hangover, because I'm a minor. Excuse me. But I have had monster migraines after staying up too late. I sat up slowly this time and groaned. What the fuck happened? Where the shit am I? I squinted and looked around. The room was unfamiliar to me. It was simple. One dresser and a poster of a woman on the wall. I shakily stood up and walked out of the room. I turned and realized it was the spare room now belonging to Rick. I need to find him. I began walking around. People sleeping and aliens covering the floors. Aliens covered the floors. I carefully walked down the steps and into the garage. Rick was sitting at his workbench and he spun around, his eyes widened, and I looked to see him closing the garage door. Let's see. Aww. Simp. Yup. I felt to breathe and look down, seeing my underwear. My face flushed as I pulled the shirt down. Oh, Jesus Christ, Rick. Patrick Sanchez, you motherfucker. My shirt looks good on you, he said calmly as he stood up. I nervously laughed as he stepped closer. My head was pounding, but I needed answers. What happened? Sorry, I read ahead. What happened? He laughed. You got stupid drunk, and I took you to my room too. Oh God, Rick, I was a virgin. I yelled the last bit quietly, and his eyes widened before an even louder laugh escaped his lips. Girl, just gonna pretend I'm 19. Wait, how old is she? If I'm 19 IRL, I'm 19 in this. I don't care. Please have aged her and Morty up. Don't get me wrong, I love age gaps, but there's a limit. Hold on. How old is we? How old we is? How old are we in this? Unless he was aged up and I missed it. Morty's 14. I assume we're in the same age. Okay, ignoring that, my shirt looks good on you. Now, I guess one of us... Who's Lost Raven? I think my soul just ran away. Kind of scared about the ages here. Stop. No, Miss Girl, shut up. Limit foul. Shut up, Wyan. Help!
Oh, sweetheart, we didn't fuck. Though, if I wanted to, you definitely would have let me. Good to know, though. I was at a loss for words. I just completely embarrassed myself. I took you up there so some weirdo wouldn't get to you first. I changed you with consent, and then you passed out before flirting with me some more. And then you flirted with me some more before passing out. I think that's what they meant. I didn't even know who you were, but thank you. Don't mention it. Seriously, don't. I'm not usually this nice. Then why were you? I asked, stepping closer. I was pushing the boundary between us. It seemed strange to me, how I felt. Why did I feel this way? Ignoring it, he raised half of his unibrow. You should take some Advil and find some pants. I'm gonna clean this shit up. Well, not me, but still. I was blushing again as he grabbed a box and pushed a button. Hi, I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me, was all the blue creature said as he appeared. Several more did at the same time. Several more did the same. Yeah, now go clean up the house and make the randoms leave. They all agreed and left us alone in the drafty garage. How old are we? Hold on. Okay. I just read ahead because I do that. Like, I'll read ahead in my mind before reading out loud, but oh my god, no. Rick smirked at me and I turned on my heel to leave. I opened the door and began to leave, but not before hearing a nice ass. I turned to Rick and stuck my tongue out. He winked and I rolled my eyes as I left. I'm 18, so hey man. Thank you. I know I do. I do have a nice ass. Oh lord, what ass? I don't have one. Twinning. I'm literally a minor. No, but it's Rick. Fair. I'm a minor, but I like for men, aka I'm a girl, so I'm hella straight. Thanks, I know, bro, I'm so confused. Coughed and mortified. Okay, no, because I couldn't. I would pass away. I'm 16, and I live in the UK, so all is well. I'm 19, motherfuckers. Haha, suck it. I forgot I'm wearing I'm wearing a Rick and Morty shirt. I'm 18, so I'm Gucci, motherfuckers. We're on the same age as Morty reading this. Same. I think I'm a year older than Morty, bro. Aren't we the same? You're like 84. Within Killers. I'm sorry. These people are unhinged. I love them. Okay. I went back upstairs and stole a pair of Summer's sweatpants. I wandered back into Rick's room and flopped down on his bed. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through it for about an hour before passing out again. When I woke up again, I felt somewhat better. I slipped my pants on and walked out of the room. The hallway tile cold under my feet. Jesus, Rick. I walked downstairs to find a clean house. Summer was on the couch on her phone. Hey, Ryan, she said as she looked over at me. I gave a slight wave and sat down beside her, crossing my legs. So, you slept over? I nodded. Yeah, I nervously laughed. Where'd you sleep? She quizzed as Rick entered the room. I looked up at him and he raised half his unibrow. Why is it half the unibrow? Raise the whole damn thing, Rick. Do you not have motion in the other half? Jesus. My eyes widened as I was entranced with his eyes? His what? His unibrow? Please. What? Girl, you just woke up? Have you been asleep the whole day? I just read your message and I just looked over. What's up, boo? How long have you been here? I want to know, how long have you been here? Tell me. Have you been here? You haven't been here since the beginning, I know, because you read my message at... what is it? At 8:01. You've been here for 3 minutes. Did you hear my little freak out over age gaps? Cause this is, so I assume you read the title of this live, right? I assume you've read the title of this live. Reading fics and playing video games. Or playing some games later. But, so I'm reading a Rick Sanchez X reader, like from Rick and Morty. I don't think you know who that is. Hold on. No. Yes. What do you mean no? Yes. This guy. This Sonic ass motherfucker. Him. The one pouring alcohol into a can of beer. But he's so fine. I love him so much. That damn smirk. Oh. Oh. This is my wrinkly old man. He's who? Father. You know how mother is a compliment? That's fathership. That's father right there. Okay. So I am reading this out loud, if you don't know. But, so basically, we are friends with Morty, who's 14, and unless this is aged up, then this is very illegal. But, so, we got shit-faced, drunk, and, he gave us his shirt, and so, next morning, we go and find him. We're pantsless. We're in our underwear and his shirt, that's all. You should take some Advil and find some pants. I'm gonna clean this shit up. Well, not me, but still. So after that, they all agreed and left us alone in that drafty garage. Rick smirked at me, and I turned on my heel to leave. I opened the door and began to leave, but not before hearing "nice ass." I turned to Rick and stuck my tongue out. He winked and I rolled my eyes as I left. What the hell? Anyways, so we're on, what is this, chapter 4? Chapter 4. We're on chapter 4. We are on this paragraph right here. So, I didn't get too far into this. I'm very into the storyline, though. Mainly because he's hot. I walked downstairs to find a clean house. Summer was on the couch on her phone. "Hey, YN," she said as she looked over at me. I gave a slight wave and sat down beside her, crossing my legs. "So you slept over?" I nodded. "Yeah." I nervously laughed. "Where'd you sleep?" she quizzed, and Rick entered the room. I looked at him and he raised half his unibrow. My eyes widened as I was entranced in his. His what? His eyes? His unibrow? His face? What are you entranced with, YN? Sorry, this makes me very mad. This writer did an I will totally play Genshin Impact later. I will, because I have it on my laptop. But I was playing Ace Attorney earlier. I have 2 Ace Attorney games. I love Phoenix Wright. My god, he's so hot. Sorry, that was very, very loud. But what are we entranced with? Like, are we just staring into his eyes? Like some Hallmark shit? I broke our eye contact. Oh, so it was just staring into his eyes, like Hallmark style. And looked back at Summer. Before I could reply, Rick did for me. I know. I was going off on the grammar earlier. No, because there's no Like, there's horrible punctuation. There's punctuation where punctuation shouldn't go. There's no uppercase. Where's the capital letters? Okay, hold on. No, because I think it was in chapter 3, I think. No, chapter 3 is the party. Okay. Chapter 2 then. Okay, hold on. Both Rick and Morty both. 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 No, this isn't ChatGPT, honey. No, this is worse. But both Rick and Morty both. Both Rick and Morty both. It's very well written. It's very detailed. Don't get me wrong. But really? Both Rick and Morty both. That's my favorite sentence out of this whole thing. Both Rick and Morty both is my favorite sentence. I can't deny it. It's an amazing sentence. It makes me laugh all the time. There are commas there are periods where commas should be. Ew. The E needs to be capitalized. The W in this needs to be capitalized. The I needs to be capitalized. The M needs to be all this needs to be capitalized, and it's not capitalized, and it makes my head hurt. Rick replied for me. She slept in my room. I was shocked. Detailed in the wrong spots. Yup. I was shocked that he told her. It's Rick. What do you expect? He's a bastard. Oh, I don't think he's a bastard. He might be. Ew, gross, Grandpa, was all she said before walking into another room. I rubbed my temples and groaned. Where's Morty? I asked, looking up at Rick, who was leaning against the wall. A smirk plastered on his face. That damn smirk! ELA teacher asked. Shut up! My face flushed pink and I fiddled with the sleeves of his shirt that was tightly hugging my now shivering body. Why are you shivering? You're wearing sweatpants and a long-sleeve shirt. Rick is twice the size of you, Wyanna. Unless you are a big man, this should not be tightly hugging you. It is a loose shirt. What are you talking about? Okay, I forgot about Morty. Valid. No. But we're gonna look at my stuff, okay? We're gonna look at my stories. We're gonna ignore how weird they are, but trust. Okay. Believe me on this. I am good at this, okay? So we're gonna look. We're looking at this, okay? This is my story. I wrote this, all right? I wrote this. This is chapter 1. I'm gonna keep posting on this. I haven't written on it in a while, but this is my story. I've written it. This is my stuff, okay? Okay. So, welcome to Button House. Also, shut up. This is based on a TV show called Ghosts. It's the UK version. So this is Thomas Thorne. He's so very fine. He's a lovesick poet, and I love him for that. With that said, welcome to Button House. Well, welcome back. And you'll find out why I say back. Author note, I am not British, and my grammar is horrendous. Bear with me. Also, highly recommend to read this with My Love All Mine by Mitsuki. We'd love that for her. Enid, a relatively normal girl with a regular life. Well, that was until the accident, when she fell down the stairs and gained +1 concussion and +1 ghosting ability. Yeah, Enid can see and talk to ghosts now. Yay? Enid was led to a couch in the drawing room by her dear friend, and the partial cause of her accident, Allison Cooper. Enid glanced up at Allison. Her blue eyes were full of pain and gratitude as she spoke. Thanks, Allie. Like, really, thank you. I probably would have died if you weren't home. Enid smiled softly as she thanked Allison before looking around the room and seeing other people. Oh, hello, I didn't notice you all there. Sorry, I'm Enid. Enid looked at a man standing near the fireplace, dressed like he was from Bridgerton? Bridgerton. Oh, are you a fan of Bridgerton too? Enid gave a small smile to the man who looked around before pointing to himself and looking at Allison, who was also incredibly confused. Enid, can you also see the man by the fireplace there? Allison placed her hand on Enid's shoulder as she pointed to the man standing by the fireplace. Yeah, I can. Why wouldn't I be able to? Enid looked up at Allison with a look of utter confusion. Well, hun, he's a ghost. Allison shrugged as all the color drained from Enid's face as she managed to stammer out, ghost? Well, who was he? Enid's look of fright turned to one of intrigue as she stood up and walked to the man to ask, who were you? Very blunt, Enid. Very, very blunt. We love her, though. We stan Enid. The man looked at Enid, then back at Allison, who just shrugged before bowing and saying, I am the greatest poet to have ever lived, Thomas Thorne. Enid looked at the man, now known as Thomas Thorne, closely and jumped back. Like the Thomas Thorne, as in the guy who wrote Hermione and Roger? Enid rubbed her eyes as she stared at Thomas in astonishment. He looked quite proud. He looked quite proud to be known, as he said, Well, yes, I did write that. Finally, someone with some taste. No offense, my dear sweet Allison. Allison nodded as she backed out of the room slowly, mumbling to herself, Not today. Enid smiled at the poet and said with a slightly fangirlish gleam in her eye, Would you maybe recite the poem for me? The poet seemed thrilled at the idea of reading his longest poem, it's probably over 2 hours long, to a fan of his. He regained his composure before saying, Of course, please do take a seat. I shall start soon enough, my dear fan. Thomas exited the room as Enid eagerly sat on one of the couches nearby and waited a good 5 minutes before Thomas entered the room once again, before bowing to Enid and starting his long, long, long poem. SpongeBob narrator voice, 2 hours later. After Thomas finished his way too long to sit through poem, Enid stood and applauded him in his way too long to type poem, while saying, Bravo, bravo, oh, Mr. Thorne, it was honestly wonderful. Thomas gave a bashful smile before saying, Really, you think so? I mean, Allison never listens to my poems, nonetheless applauds them. Enid looked at the man standing in front of her as she looks perplexed before she states, Well, Allison wouldn't know good writing if it smacked her right across the face. At this remark, Thomas smiled and laughed softly as he said in a small voice, You truly like my work. He sounded like it was unbelievable that someone actually liked his poems. Would you like to hear what I was to read to Allison? 'Tis a love poem. Enid nodded as she sat down as Thomas closed his eyes and recited the poem he made for Allison. I, in fact, wrote this poem, so fuck you. Roses are red, violets are blue, your soul is beautiful, and so are you. Orchids are white, ghost ones are rare. Needles are silky, and so is your hair. Magnolia grows with buds like eggs. Berries are luscious, and so are your legs. Sometimes reach out to the skies. The sun is dazzling, and so are your eyes. Foxgloves and hedges surround the farms. The sky is pale, and so are your arms. Daisies are pretty. Daffodils have style. The lanterns are illuminating, and so is your smile. Jewels are beautiful, just like you. Is it a good poem? I don't know. But I wrote it, and I'm damn proud of it. Enid looked at Thomas with teary eyes. Oh, my, that was amazing. Thomas, you wrote that for Allison? Thomas nodded as he sat on a chair next to the couch. Yes, I've written Allison many love poems, sonnets, and much more. But lo, they fall upon deaf ears. Of course, till now, yes. 'Tis quite obvious why my past love didn't reciprocate. Enid tilted her head. Because she's married? Thomas shook his head as he stood up and proclaimed with much joy, No, 'tis because she wanted me to love you. Thomas had started to pace the floor as he spoke while Enid's eyes widened in shock. Yes, 'tis so obvious now. She wished you to find happiness, and well, and comfort in your favorite poet. Yes, she is so thoughtful. I shall henceforth be moving my advances onto you, my dear. Enid looked at Thomas as she stood. Yeah, how about don't do that? Find a ghost girlfriend or something. Enid left the room with Thomas following her. Please, my dear, allow me to sing you a ballad of my love, or perform you a sonnet, or perform for you a sonnet, or write you a poem. Enid shook her head as she sprinted up the stairs, saying, No, thank you, I'm fine. No need to sing or perform or write me anything. Ciao, adios, bonsoir. Enid ran into her room and closed the door, not realizing Thomas can just walk through the door, which he did, and Enid promptly let out a yelp at the sight of him walking through the door. Please, my love, allow me to serenade you with my poems. Thomas pleaded as he stood in front of the door, not taking a step further. Thomas, we've only just met, though. You are an artist and a poet, but we must get to know each other, and, well, then there's a matter of you're dead, and I'm not. Enid gave plenty good reasons as to why they couldn't, shouldn't, and wouldn't be together. Please, you would simply need to kill yourself, become a ghost, and get with me. 'Tis easy. Thomas stated as matter of fact. What? No, I'm not gonna kill myself to become a ghost. Enid scoffed at Thomas's arrogance as she shook her head. You're unbelievable. Enid sighed as she sat at the edge of her bed, shaking her head in a way that made her hair glisten in the sunlight that cascaded into her room. Thomas's eyes were drawn to her blonde hair. It had faint highlights of browns and reds. To Thomas, it was poem-worthy. She was poem-worthy, and he was determined to make her swoon, except for the fact that he never made a woman swoon in his life. And what you mean, damn? The poet won't leave me alone. So I don't have this finished yet. I was already thinking about that, but damn. What do you mean, damn? What are you damning? What, the fact that she could just kill herself and become a ghost? Or the fact that she's not gonna kill herself and become a ghost? Chapter 2. The Poet Who Won't Leave Me Alone! Allison, it's been 3 weeks. He's still following me around and reciting poetry. Help! Enid slammed her head on the kitchen table and groaned. The fact that he told her? Yeah, he actually says that in the show, by the way. He literally says that to the female protagonist of the show, aka Allison. Groaned as the two women heard the voice of the poet inching nearer until he's in the kitchen. Yippee! Oh, my love, there you are. I've been looking for you everywhere. Thomas sat in the kitchen chair next to Enid as she gave a weak smile. Yeah, hey, Thomas. Could it maybe have been that I was hiding from you? Why would you ever be hiding from me, my love? Thomas asked while softly clutching his chest. Enid really did think he was handsome, despite the musket ball wound in his abdomen. He was still very handsome, and she stood up before mumbling an excuse and rushing out of the kitchen. Thomas stood up quickly and called out to Enid, Wait, my dear, you did not finish your food! He was going to go after her, but Allison had stood up and told Thomas, Thomas, give the girl a break, please. But what Thomas heard was essentially, Oh, Thomas, love me, not her. And Thomas's response would prompt a slap across the face, but, he's a ghost, so he did not get slapped by Allison. I know you still love me, Allison, but alas, my heart cannot lie anymore, for she is beautiful as the moon and as mysterious as the ocean. Allison sighed as she stood up and left the room. Thomas then decided to find Enid and serenade her some more. That's all I have of chapter 2 so far. But, We love him. He's baby girl. Anyways, video game time. Woo! Cause I really don't feel like my bad. Because I really don't feel like reading any more fanfics right now. um. Alright. Open this. Okay, there we go. Genshin time. I gotta put my microphone down. I've been holding my mic this whole time. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Okay. It's video game time. Woohoo. Woo. Alright. So, I assume you're gonna play with me? Because if not, I will fight you. Okay. So. Okay, yeah. Well, I asked you before you texted me. Okay, so Staffu. Beach. Ugh. Ugh. Anyways, also I didn't tell you, but I have a Ghoulia doll, like Monster High Ghoulia. She's so pretty. Her hair is a little bit messy, but we love her for that. I really want to give her a wolf cut, but I don't want to cut this doll's hair, so I might just get a different Ghoulia doll and cut her hair. Because this is G3 Ghoulia, but she's still so cute. We still love Ghoulia. Ghoulia is baby girl. Okay. Okay. So. Video games. Woo. Alright. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had to pop out chat. There we go. There we go. Woo! Alright. Look at my cutie patootie. Look at her. She's just a baby. She's just a girl. Oh no, I don't want to delete you. That's mean. I don't care about that. Oh. I'm sorry? How many? Okay. Xylonen, my baby girl. I love Xylonen. you still watching my stream? Move left. Jump if yes. If you're still watching my stream.
If you're not sure what to do next, how about I take you on a walk?
Just turning away. Damn.